honest, but it is for me right now. So I've just made the 30-minute journey down to the Hythe Canal, which is down in Kent, the Royal Military. Lots of carp lakes have been shut. I was due to go yesterday, and unfortunately the carp lake was shut because of carp spawning, which is a pain in the bum when you're not a carp angler and you're just going for the tench. So I had to make another plan. I'd already got loads of worms and maggot. So yesterday I got on a motorbike and I came for a ride down the canal and a little look around. Found this little swim that I was preferring to come to this area anyway, but bumped into a guy yesterday who was fishing. Had a little chit chat. He showed me some pictures of some tench that he's caught from this area in the last 3 weeks, and there were some nice ones. So nothing massive, but all the same, I've got my float rod with me today. I've got a feeder rod as well. So I'm going to have a little go on the float and feeder and see how the day progresses. I've literally just pulled up. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to jump in this swim. I noticed a bit of weed yesterday, so I brought one of my carp spod rods with me. I've got a nice little weed rake, little gardener one about this big. I have got a huge rake, double-sided one, but it's at my parents' house in another town, about 25 minutes from where I live. So I thought the best thing to do was to get the gardener rake. I'm going to jump in the swim now. I'm going to spend 10 or 15 minutes just raking the area. I found that tench like that anyway. I did it on a lake recently, probably a month or so ago when I was fishing for some bream, and the carp were coming in, checking out what was going on. There was all sorts going on, fish everywhere. So I'm not scared of using the rake. Knock up some ground bait, get a couple of balls of ground bait in there, and then as soon as this light breaks, which should be in about 25 minutes, I'll have the float rod set up over depth, and we'll see if we can catch ourselves some tench. So stay tuned. Oh, and all of that other stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that. And thank you to everyone that has subscribed recently and the lovely comments that you've put on the videos too. Really do appreciate that, to be honest. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon. Right, I'm just getting the kit sorted. I'm just getting the spod rod ready to put the little weed rake on, which I can show you actually. Let's have a little look. Where is it? It's in my pocket somewhere. It's hiding. Just a little tiny weed rake from Gardener. Just run that through underneath this little tree. I don't know if you can see because it's still quite dark. I'm fishing just down here under that tree. So let's get the weed rake out and clear it up and then get some ground bait knocked up. Ooh, I'm excited. Right, we're all set. So the swim has been de-weeded. I'm really happy with that now. I've just mixed up some ground bait. Only a little bit in there, just some dynamite grubby ground bait. You can't get that anymore, unfortunately. Danny Walcott recommended that to me a while back. Float rod's all set up to depth, 3 inches over, couple of shot just below the hook. I have seen some fizzing already, by the way. Whilst I was setting the float rod up, it started fizzing over the back of where I was taking the weed out. So I believe 1,000,000% from doing this for years that the tench and the carp love that. All right, if you're going on a 60-acre pond with 3 carp in it, you might scare the shit out of them. However, I think it attracts them, and I've seen fish come in as soon as you start doing it. So this is the swim. Gonna fish just down under here, under the tree, because if the sun gets up, there's a bit of shade there. It's not very deep, sort of like 2.5, 3 foot, but let's have a go, eh? Kit is an old Shimano Aero GTM XT7. It's got the fighting drag on the back there, it's quality. Then I've got one of the old 13-foot Tench Float rods. It's like 2-section with a screw-off butt. Screw-off's there. I've just started off with a little Dendrobina worm, and we are just down there. The fizzing I've seen actually was just over here. I've just put 3 or 4 little balls of ground bait in, a handful of maggots, and we'll see what happens. Well, I've just had my first little bit of action. Float's been in the water probably 5 minutes. The fizzing's still happening now and again over the back, sort of on the edge of where I raked, and the float just lifted, dropped, and then settled. Wasn't enough to strike into it, but it's good signs. It's nearly 5:30, so it's took me a good 30 minutes to get sorted, rake the swim, get the rod set up, although to be fair it was pretty much set up. I just had to get the depth sorted, a bit of ground bait, and we're fishing. I have got some really nice lilies just down to my right, very close in, but I just feel that because that guy was fishing here yesterday, he'd put a bit of ground bait in, he comes here, he came here the week before that and the week before that. It wasn't really weedy, but there was quite a bit in there, so I've cleared that lovely now. Tiny little bit of gravel in there as well, or something that's hard, but it felt like gravel. So that's nice and clear now. I know I'm fishing lovely. I know my bait's presented good. All we got to do now is just hope. I should apologise that my videos will be like this. I'm literally holding a mobile phone. I'm going to buy a tripod so that I can put it to me, because my cousin said, oh, your video's really good. It'd be really good if you had a tripod and put it behind you and you could see the water while you were chatting, and maybe buy a microphone. Well, look, I'm new to all of this. I just love going fishing, and obviously now I'm documenting it with videos for you guys. Oh, a little bit more fizzing over the back. Like I say, that fizzing over the back is right on the edge of where I started raking. So maybe, and it's nowhere near where I'll just put the ground bait, so it's on the back edge of it. Maybe I'll have a little go over there in a minute. But yeah, apologies that I'm holding my phone. It's very raw, but this is just me out fishing. As you can see, extremely excited, like a little child. I used to come here actually. This is where I did my apprenticeship. My nan used to live in Seabrook, and she lived like 50 or 60 metres away from the canal. So growing up as a kid, that's where I fished. I've had a couple of goes here probably 30 years ago, so it's really lovely to be back and having a go. And the last time I came down here was with my daughter, my niece and my nephew. In fact, I'm not sure my niece was born then, it might have just been my nephew. Bought a float rod down, half a pint of maggots, and just fished for roach, which was great. But that was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, just for a couple of hours. So I'm very excited to be back here at the Hythe Canal, having a little go, and they're bubbling again. Oh, it's great. Well, it's been 30 minutes now. I've had a couple of little dibbles on the float, but nothing is in the net yet. So I'm fishing with dendrobinas at the moment. I could probably fish with red maggot. I've got them with me, but what I don't want to do is catch loads and loads of little roach and rudd. Although I don't mind, I'm actually here for the tench, so I thought if I go on with a dendrobina, if I catch a big rudd or a big roach, no problem. But I don't really want to be catching lots of small stuff in and out all the time. So we'll persevere with the worm and see what happens. It's probably worth noting now, the stretch that I'm fishing the Hythe Canal is sink ports. You can go onto the internet and find that. They do a ticket for the whole year, or certain stretches of it are day ticket. This is day ticket, so Paul the bailiff, who I've known since I was a little kid, he used to ride up and down on his push bike and take your ticket money. He still rides up and down on his push bike over 30 years later, still doing that. He'll probably be along at some point. I did message him the other day and ask him how it was fishing down here. I mentioned this area. He said, yep, that'll be all right. So we will see. But yeah, so Sink Ports is the name of the fishery club, if you like, and it's the Royal Military Canal in Hythe. It runs quite a while. It goes from sort of like Seabrook area right the way through to Appledore, all that sort of way. So there's a lot of canal. A lot of the boys now carp fish here. When I came down yesterday, there was 3 or 4 carp anglers with their rods out having a go. We used to catch carp years ago, actually, sort of like back in the early 90s. You'd catch carp out of here, but it wasn't a phenomenon back then. There was probably quite a few of them, but they kept quiet. But generally we used to come down here for the tench and the bream and the roach and the rudd and the pike in the winter. So It was great back then. It was good, really good fishing. Come down here for a day with a couple of pints of maggots. There used to actually be a petrol station, still there now, down in Seabrook, just at the end of Sandgate, where they used to have a maggot machine. That's going back a few years. I remember Dad pulling up there and getting maggots out of the maggot machine, which was lovely times. So it's great to be back, as I've said before. All we need now is some fish to turn up. Well, there you go. Little male. Literally just had a lady come behind me and say, "Any luck?" I said, "No, not yet." And as I said, "Not yet," the float dipped under and away it went. Lovely jubbly. Beautiful little thing. You can tell it's a male because of these huge pelvic fins. The females are a lot smaller. I'm made up with that. Not the biggest tench on the planet, you know, probably just over a pound, pound and a half, but absolutely great, especially on the float rod, light tackle. Worth noting, I just introduced, I think it was about 6 dendrobinas, and I've got some worm cutting scissors, the ones with 3 blades. I've just introduced about 5 minutes before that, about 6 dendrobinas. Oh, I think that was a carp over the back there. 6 dendrobinas, chopped them all up into little bits and literally introduced them right on top of the float about 5 minutes before. So maybe I'll do that again in a bit. But literally the lady came behind me, she said good morning, asked how long I'd been here, asked if I had any luck, and I said no, not yet. She must have taken 5 steps and away it went. Lovely. I don't know if you can see that, but that is fizzing like crazy over the back there. Jesus Christ. That was going crazy then. That is well out of my range for getting over there because of the tree. But maybe they'll turn up. Or it's a carp. I don't know, but there was a lot of bubbling. Hell of a lot of bubbling. So I was just thinking back on some times that I fished down here in my younger days, and one that I recall was, I was so excited about this as well, by the way. I used to badger my dad all the time throughout the week to take me fishing, and I was getting to the age where I could have a moped, and I booked in to do my moped test on my birthday, August 1996. I'd already bought a moped, got it sorted, it was in the garage waiting, and Dad took me over to Margate, did my motorbike test, literally got home. 2 of my mates were waiting on my driveway. Steve was definitely there, I'm not sure if Marcus was there, and we strapped our fishing gear to the motorbikes, and we rode from Dover down to Hythe, which is probably a 40 minute ride on a moped, maybe longer, and we did a night for tench and bream. It was absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, Marcus, who used to come down here fishing with me quite a lot, actually he's not with us anymore, passed away just over a year ago, maybe 2 now, but I had some great times down here fishing with him. I had another one I remember actually fishing with him. We was fishing down in the town stretch, and he was fishing a float right over to the far margin where the path is, and he looked into something. Back then, I mean, we were kids, we used to get a taxi down here for like 14, 15. He looked into something and it absolutely stripped his whole reel of line. So thinking about it, it was probably a carp. Got hammered, but back then we was just after the tench, roach and the bream. But yeah, I've got some incredible memories down here fishing with my pals and with my dad and family members. Well, the sun's really coming up now, and I've got a lot of action in the swim. There's some tench fizzing just to the right of the float. The float's been bobbing all over the place where they're just banging into the line. But the swim has really come alive. Like I said earlier, I think if I changed over to maggots, I'd have a fisher chuck, no problem whatsoever. But I'm here targeting the tench, so I'm going to stay on the worm, and hopefully a bigger one. Oh, here we go. Hopefully a bigger one turns up. Devastated. I've just bumped 2 fish off on the bounce. It's getting busier in there now. I'm even seeing a lot of swirling from bigger fish, a bit closer in. But devastated. I think the first one I bumped off was probably a rudd or a roach because it really went bright straight away. The second one may have been a tench, but never mind. It's getting busy now, the footpath behind me. Lots of dog walkers, lots of pleasant people saying good morning. But we're still hopeful. The swim is active. A bream. I think this is probably a male. It's got all the spawning nodules all over it. Nice one. Probably a £1.5 pounds, maybe 2. Lovely little bream. I know that bream aren't everyone's cup of tea, especially carp anglers, but that's nice to catch that on the float rod. I remember years ago we used to catch them probably like £6 to £8, which was great sport, so a few of those today would be nice. So I started introducing a few maggots into the swim and a bit of hemp as well. As soon as the maggots go in, actually, the rudd are going cranky. So I'll keep trickling them in because I'd like the tench to come in and pick them off. Oh, big bite. Missed that, huge lifting bite. Probably a rudd lifting it off the bottom though, because like I say, there's a lot of them in the swim at the moment. But we'll persevere and hopefully another tinker turns up. But the sun's come out. It's quite bright now, but hopefully we get a little bit of cloud. Fingers crossed. Another nice bream. Lovely fish. And another one. Another little tinker, another little male. Well, it's been rudd after rudd after rudd, and as lovely as they are, I'm here for the tench. Please go away. This feels like a better fish. There's some signs of some fizzing near the float, and then away it goes. It's definitely a tench. Better one as well. Another feisty little male fish. These males really scrap hard. On the worm again. Well, it's 10:15 and it's starting to get very quiet, and the sun's come out. I'm catching rudd, but the tench and bream seem to have disappeared. There's fizzing still around, but it's just not happening on the float. So I'm switching over to the maggot feeder. Maggots in the feeder and worm on the hook, and we'll see if this makes a difference. Like I say, there's still action in the swim. There's been a lot of jack pike in here as well, but it went quiet on the float, so let's try the feeder. I don't mind catching big versions of these, but I've gone and caught myself a little tiny one. Bloody eel. Well, I love eel fishing, by the way, but for big uns. So first put in on the maggot feeder with a worm, had a knock, pulled it back in, put it back out, caught an eel. So I've gone back out again, but I've gone out on an imitation caster, tipped off with worm. We'll see what happens. If we end up with another eel, I think we'll change over, because I don't fancy catching small bootlace eels. Not today. Another angry little male fish. Taken on the float rod, this one. Just rested that other area for a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and dropped back in and had it straight away. Well, there's a better one, another male, but that is much better. Look at the colours on him. Look at that. Unbelievable. Good scrap as well of him. He'll be 2.5, maybe touching 3. Hopefully there's bigger ones to come. What a great day we're having. Got another one on. This one looks like a good one as well. Superb. Well, the ladies have turned up to the party now.
That is 100% the best one today. I would guess that around about £4. She's an absolute beauty. Brilliant. Another small male, straight after the other one. Big female. Coming thick and fast now.
Well, it's 11:15 now, and the swim come to life in the last 30 minutes. I think I've had 3 or maybe 4 on the bounce now with that big female. I just spoke to one of the council guys who just come and had a little chit chat, and he said that the tench fishing down here that he's had recently has all been better at midday, not early in the morning like we suspect it to be, and it's fizzing like crazy around my float right now. So I'm going to stay till probably another hour, see how many more I can get, but I think I'm on 7 or 8 tench now. I've had an eel, a few bream, loads of rudd and a roach. Let's see if we can get one over £5. That's the goal today.
But the bream have moved back in. That's a nice one. Couple of pound. Everything seems to be that sort of size today, which is great. But I remember when these used to be £8 and £9 in this canal.
Back in the car now, called it a day. I've had a great day's fishing, absolutely brilliant. No more fish after, I think it was the bream. I've lost count how many tench I've had, but I've had a great day. I just wish I bought the keep net. You're allowed to use keep nets down here, so I think next time I'll bring the keep net, and then we can have a little look at the final quota or tally or whatever you want to say, because I reckon I had £25 of fish today, easy peasy, just for a little morning. Great day. So I'll see you next time. I don't know what we're going to be doing next time, although saying that I'd probably do. I'm fishing again this coming weekend. I've got a social. There's 18 of us fishing on a carp lake. I'm going to be taking the eel rods and the tench float rods, so I'll be fishing for the eels of the evening, and then I shall be fishing for the tench first thing in the morning, just before first light, on the float rod, and then doing nothing during the day because I'll be going around chatting to everyone, having a lovely time. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.